Welcome into another recruiting edition of the Wolverine here on the Wolverine YouTube channel and also in our podcast feed. I'm Anthony Broom, filling in for Clayton Safey today. I'm here with EJ Holland and Tim Verghese. We do have a few things we want to talk about on the recruiting trail, but before we do that, we do want to talk about our friends over at Manscaped. Manscaped just launched new products, including their new ultra premium body wash and a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. It's time to give yourself or someone who needs it, who's to say, the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. So go to manscaped.com, use the code 20GoBlue for 20% off and free shipping. We love getting our packages from manscaped.com. They sent the performance package 4.0, which has the lawnmower 4.0 in it. The electric trimmer has advanced skin-safe technology to protect your own packages. So anti-chafing ball deodorant comes in the package, moisturizer, toner, all that stuff is in there. The hygiene bundle also comes with a pair of Manscaped anti-chafing boxers that will keep your junk feeling fresh all day. So like I said, we love when they send us stuff. It's not just the ad pitch for us. They send us packages. We love the product. It's consistently high quality stuff. So 'tis the season to load up. The holiday, Christmas is over, but there's still some holiday stuff going on. So load up, and using our code 20GoBlue, and get your 20% off and free shipping using our code and the products at manscaped.com. So every guy out there should take advantage of the situation. So now that we've got the business portion of it done, as I said before, EJ and Tim are here with us. We have a couple things we want to hit on in today's edition of the show. The first thing, and we'll lead with Tim here, has to do with Michigan's push for Dillon Bell and Andrew Paul. So, Tim, why don't you helm that segment and take us through the recruitments of both of those guys?
Yeah, so as we kind of put the finishing touches here on the 2022 cycle, not a whole lot of spots left, not a whole lot of positional needs left. But Michigan's in looking for a second, I guess, offensive skill player is the best way to put it, because so Dillon Bell was originally recruited to Michigan as a running back. He's currently committed to Georgia, but was originally recruited to Michigan as a running back. After Jim Harbaugh and the staff saw him in person, they like him more at running back or at wide receiver. He likes himself more at wide receiver. He's open to playing whatever at the next level, but wide receiver is his preference. And Michigan got back in the picture with him soon after signing day, after he did not sign with Georgia during the early signing period. The reasons are a little vague as to right now. All we know is Georgia. It sounds like they're working some class numbers right now, trying to figure out if there's a spot for him or not. So in that process, schools like Michigan have reached out. Michigan, Florida, Houston, and Texas have all reached out to him, trying to push to flip him here ahead of February. And so with Bell specifically, Michigan is back in it. They've assured him there's a spot for him at wide receiver, despite signing 3 wide receivers in December. They've assured him there's a spot for him if he wants it. And so, that just kind of tells you what Michigan thinks about him. He's a 6'2", 205. I think he's closer probably to 210 realistically at the position. And he's his best skill is after the catch. After the catch, he's a bit of a bruiser. Kind of a Deebo Samuel type. That's the best way I think you can use him at the next level. Get him in on some jet sweeps, throw him in the backfield. Get him in on a mix of different plays. I think Josh Gaddis will have, if he does wind up in Michigan, Josh Gaddis will have, a lot of ways to use him. So he's one that Michigan's pushing for, and then Michigan's also pushing for a potential second running back in the class, and that could come in the form of Andrew Paul, who was recently offered out of a Parish Episcopal, a private school out in Dallas. Paul really burst on the scene as a senior, had just kind of a record-breaking season for them. Or at least record-breaking for him season. And on tape, he's a bit of a do-it-all back. Kind of gives Michigan a good complementary back to what they already have in 22 and C.J. Stokes. And he's still playing out his process. He's got a couple schools he's got in mind. Got a couple of visits he wants to make in January. I think I expect Michigan to probably get an official visit from him here in January before a Feb decision and a Feb signing.
All right, well, now we'll move over to staying with the 2022 class. Kevonte Henry who was Michigan's only commitment that did not sign on signing day. It has seemed things have been kind of fluid with things with his recruitment there. EJ, take us through the latest on what's going on with Kevonte Henry.
Yeah, so Kevonte Henry on 300 edge rusher out of Lawndale Lusinger in the Los Angeles area. Henry committed to Michigan in the summer in large part because of former Michigan Director of Player Personnel Courtney Morgan, who recently made his way to Washington. With Morgan no longer on staff, I think that Henry decided to kind of wait things out, see what else was out there. He actually made an official visit to Washington to visit his old friend Courtney Morgan right before the early signing period. And during the late period, we kind of expect him to continue making official visits once this dead period comes to an end and the contact period resumes. So we'll probably see him make his way out to Florida. Oklahoma has reached out. Some of the West Coast programs like Oregon, USC, UCLA have reached out as well. So I feel like right now keeping Henry in the class is going to be tough. I mean, Michigan would really like to have him, especially with Ethan Burke, Michigan's former edge rusher commit, flipping to Texas right before National Signing Day, and not really having a true edge rusher in this class, with Derek Moore being a little bit more of a tweener, Micah Pollard being a little bit more of a tweener. I think Henry would be a nice piece in this class given his upside. He's the ultimate boomer bust prospect. I mean, he's an on 300 guy, and his ceiling is through the roof. His ceiling's a top 100 guy, but his floor is also a guy that we never hear from ever again. So he's definitely a risk prospect, but his talent's there. I, again, am not really expecting him to end up in the class for Michigan, given his interest elsewhere and the fact that Morgan departed. But if they are able to keep him, that would be a really nice gift to end the recruiting cycle.
Well, EJ, we'll stick with you. You were just in Detroit again. You should just get a second home here, honestly, EJ, for the Ford Field Showcase. A lot to go over from there. So give us some of your takeaways from what you saw during that event.
Yeah, so I woke up at 4:30 in the morning Central Time here in Chicago. Made the day trip out to Detroit. Actually, put on some of the great Manscaped body wash before I went out there. Made sure I was smelling good before before a long day work. But went out to Ford Field, Sound Mind Sound Body, which is a great organization in the Detroit area. Does a lot for local kids and provides training programs and club 7-on-7 programs for some of the best recruits out that way. Will Johnson was a part of it. And, his father, Dion Johnson, was actually a co-founder of Sound Mind, Sound Body. So they put together a big camp for Detroit kids and Nashville kids. They combined with MPA, which is a big training and Club 7-on-7 organization out in Nashville. It's actually the same organization that produced Michigan freshman star Junior Colson. So it's kind of cool to see kids from both areas. This event gave me an opportunity to see Michigan wide receiver commit Samaj Morgan out of West Bloomfield, one of the early 2023 pledges. I've seen Morgan plenty of times in the past, but this was actually my first time seeing him since early September or late August. I saw West Bloomfield week 1, I believe, and didn't get a chance to see them again later in the season. And he's continued to add some really good muscle to his really compact frame. He's about 5'9", 5'10" right now, but he's really, really muscular, especially in his upper half. His lower body is extremely thick. He is going to be a similar guy to AJ Henning. I think AJ was a little faster and more explosive and was a little more highly touted as a recruit, but I think Morgan is a more natural pass catcher. He's a better route runner. He's built like a running back, but plays wide receiver and has played wide receiver for years. AJ Henning was a guy that was built like a running back, but played running back mostly at his high school before converting to wide receiver. But I think Morgan brings a similar skill set. He can stretch the field and get vertical, but he's better in short space. He's extremely quick. He can make a lot of different plays on just short slants, drag routes. He can line up in the backfield if needed. He can take jet sweeps. So there's a lot to really like about Morgan. I think he's a great first land in the class, and he's definitely going to be a class leader, already working on guys like Dante Moore and Amir Herring, who are two elite prospects in state. But he had a really good performance out there. He was one of the top performers. And just some other notes, some guys that kind of caught my attention and stood out to me, sticking in the 23 class, the other two big targets there were Kamari Anderson, a do-it-all athlete out of Detroit Cass Tech, and Ethan Crisp, a hybrid linebacker out of the Nashville area. So starting off with Kamari Anderson, he's actually the younger brother of Michigan freshman Raheem Anderson. Kamari's an interesting prospect. He was actually more of a baseball recruit before really getting some traction as a football recruit this year. I saw Cass Tech play twice this year. He did everything from tight end to defensive end, and a little bit of wide receiver as well. I think Michigan likes him a little more as a flex tight end. He will be at the Orange Bowl this weekend. Obviously, he has ties with his brother, so I think if Michigan pushes, they have a great shot at landing. Michigan obviously has had success in Nashville recruiting linebackers, Junior Colson. They landed Miles Pollard this past cycle, so I think they can continue to keep the Nashville pipeline going. Crisp, again, is a hybrid guy, prospect that started off as a strong safety but has developed into more of an athletic linebacker. I think he'll be an inside linebacker if he were to end up at Michigan. And he's very high on the Wolverines, hasn't had a chance to visit yet, but is looking to do so in either January or February, after the dead period comes to an end. But yeah, I would say Michigan's firmly in that top group right now for Crisp. And then just quickly on some underclassmen, guys that really moved the needle with Michigan offers. I thought Jacob Oden out of Harper Woods, a Michigan legacy, is developing into one of the top defensive backs in the country. He's very high on the Wolverines early on. Nick Marsh, a wide receiver out of River Rouge, has developed into one of the top prospects in the country in 2024 as well, and is gaining more and more interest in Michigan, especially with the Wolverine season and his visit for the game against Ohio State. Also had a chance to see some interesting 24 prospects from Nashville, highlighted by Caleb Beasley, who's one of the top defensive backs in the country in that cycle as well. He's looking to visit Michigan soon. So those were kind of some of the takeaways I had from being out there. But again, Sound Mind, Sound Body, and MPA both do a terrific job in their respective areas, and it was an event filled with quite a bit of talent.
Well, we appreciate the update there, EJ. Also, this wasn't on the rundown, but something that popped into my head. So it's just a bit of a pop quiz, I guess. Michigan and Georgia will play Friday for the right to go to the national title game. Are there any Michigan-Georgia recruiting battles that you think might hinge, maybe not hinge, but something that could maybe swing one way or another depending on Friday's result?
Yeah, well, I definitely think, as Tim mentioned earlier, Dillon Bell is one to watch, being a Georgia commit. Just to kind of bounce off of what Tim said, Michigan has gotten in contact here during the late period, and the fact that he didn't sign with Georgia has left the door open. He's such a versatile prospect, as Tim mentioned, a running back, wide receiver, and I know he told Tim that he would be watching the game closely. I was actually at the Fair State camp this summer here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he had a chance to work out in front of Jim Harbaugh and Josh Gaddis and Mike Hart, and it was just cool to see how he bonded so well with that staff. He actually came up to me after the camp and was like, "That Dante Moore kid, if Michigan gets him, I mean, we're going to be great." He was so excited about like the future of Michigan. He was a former silent Michigan commit. I mean, who the cat's out of the bag, we can just go ahead and say it. So he was a former silent Michigan commit before he ended up committing to Georgia. So I think if Michigan beats Georgia, it'll give him even more of a planting of the seed to be like, okay, well, maybe Michigan is the play. And as Tim mentioned, Michigan has told him there's a spot for him. So I think this game will have definite implications on that.
All right, cool. Any other final thoughts from you or Tim before we wrap things up and move on?
Use Manscaped. The body wash is terrific.
That's a company man right there. All right, well, we appreciate you guys listening. For those on the YouTube channel, be sure to like this video, subscribe. For those listening in other ways, be sure to, we're available wherever you get your content, YouTube, Apple, Google, Spotify. We're all there. EJ, Tim, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for the update. We will talk to everyone else soon.